Aloha kako, ano ai mekavilina a ke aloha. We want to welcome you all back here again to our Eva Parker Woods cottage here upon this Vahipana, or these ancient lands of Kalahuipua'a, and of which is the home of the Mauna Lani Auberge. As we once again gather here to share in mo'olelo, in stories, in mele, in song, in music, and in hula as well. As we continue our series called Virtual Talk Story, we want to invite you all to join us wherever you may be, whether in your homes or on a train or maybe even on a plane, wherever it might be. We want to invite you all to join us here at our little hale here. And as Anna and I share this time with you, with all of you out there, and just simply talk story. Um, you know, it's been quite an interesting month. Of course, this month of July, of which we just recently celebrated our Turtle Independence Day.
Yes,
And
sir. 4th of July, Turtle Independence Day
yes,
here at Mauna Lani.
something that we've been doing for the past 33
33
years.
years. Can you believe that? Our children were just, gosh, little ones.
Yes.
And that started, and you started that as a collaboration with Sea Life Park and
Oh, it was
Steve
Sea Life
Kaiser.
Park, Steve Kaiser, and of course, National Marine Fisheries Service, George Balaz, and Noah. And it's been a wonderful collaboration, and also with HBA, with Mark Rice.
Yes. So this
and
was a
Laura Jim.
Yes, it was a foster green sea turtle program when it started, right? Where you got the hatchlings from Sea Life Park and brought them here to Mauna Lani, where they could be raised in the fish ponds within the hotel until they were large enough and healthy to be released
Right.
on the 4th of July.
And I remember the first time that I did it, and it was 33 years ago. No fanfare at all. It was just okay. The turtles were big enough to give them their freedom, and so I just put the two turtles in the back of my like a wheelbarrow cart and carted them down to the beach and
Set them free.
did a little prayer over them, and then one by one just put them in the ocean with guests on the side asking questions and me telling them about our Honu program, our turtle program, and so it was with no fanfare at all, but that's what really kicked off Turtle Independence Day. After that release, we decided to pick a day that was a memorable day and a day that would match with freeing or giving our turtles freedom and independence. Of course, the 4th of July or Independence Day was just the perfect time, and what a wonderful way to kick off our
celebration.
4th of July celebration, right? By releasing Honu. And we released 6 turtles this year.
I think what's really wonderful, though, is it's become not just a cultural program, but it's been within the hotel, but it's also become a community program and an educational program. We have a partnership in collaboration with Hawaii Preparatory Academy with Mark Rice and his daughter, Laura Jim. And they work together with the students. They're doing just amazing things in terms of documentation and observations and identifying characteristics of these turtles that make them very unique and have their own facial features is what we've learned. PE was sharing this with us, how there's a patterning of the scales on their head that can be mapped. And it identifies the turtle, much like how we have our own facial features that identify us as Danny or Anna. So do the turtles. It's just been really amazing. And it's been wonderful too, because within the community and the educational program with HPA, they have young students there that have been part of that program. And our grandson, who was visiting from Honolulu, Aiden, was able to join them for these past couple of years now to do uh, helping with the inspections and measurements and weights.
And even helping with the other children to carry the Honu, the turtles, down to the beach during the release.
Yes, and the stretchers that were made just for that purpose of helping to release the turtles on the 4th of July. You know, Aiden's here.
Our grandson,
let
our
me go
eldest
call
grandson.
him.
And, you know, I also have to
Aiden, come.
send out our mahalo nui to Pi'i La'eha and to Ethan Souza, who have really been the
Backbone.
parents, you know,
Yeah.
the foster parents of these Honu for the past couple of years, and you know, gave them a good start in life, and so you know we have to thank them, and of course, you know, our Mauna Lani Auberge for supporting this wonderful
Yes,
program all these years.
Sanjiv is
Sanjiv,
our GM.
Ulugala, and yeah. And it is a wonderful program. We call it Malama Honua. Malama, which is in regards to preserve or to save. Malama Honu, saving and preserving our turtles, our green sea turtles. And Malama Honua, to save
Yes.
and preserve our
So P.E.
Earth,
had a
our
really nice
planet.
write-up that
So Anna will read a write-up that P.E. did.
So malama honu, malama honua. As we care for the turtles, we care for the world. Ancient Hawaiians may have likely compared the shell of a sea turtle to a map of our Polynesian Oceania world, encompassing the Hawaii Islands, Rapa Nui, and Aotearoa, New Zealand. They call the turtle honu and the world honua. Honu are native to the reefs of Kalahuipua'a, a sacred land area once cherished by the Ali'i, our royalty. Kalahuipua'a, nestled in the Piko, the spiritual center of Hawaii's 5 great mountains, Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, Hualalai, Kohala, and Haleakala across the channel. These mountains are depicted in this shirt that was designed specifically for this.
And the design for this year's T-shirt was done by P.E. La'eha and Mele McPherson.
But these motifs were
Yes.
actually created many years ago by our Kumu
Kumu John
John
Ka'imikawa.
Ka'imikawa. And each of these represent one mountain. First one with Mauna Kea, the White Mountain, the snows are, in fact, I'm going to bring you here, Aiden, so that we can show them more clearly. And we see here the triangle with the snow, falling snow representing Mauna Kea. Mauna Loa, Loa refers to something of great length and breadth. And so we have the
These nu'u design.
the nu'u design here that represents Mauna Loa. And then we have here Hualalai. The Kohala Mountains have many, many pu'u, hills, throughout its mountain range. And so we have this representing the Kohala Mountains. And across our channel on Maui, we have Haleakala, the House of the Rising Sun. And here we have in the Peahi design, that sun that rises up along the crater's edge of Haleakala, which is depicted here.
And
on
opens
this.
like a great fan, which is what Pe'ahi is in the
Okay.
Hawaiian language. So, you know, here at Kalahuipua'a, it's centered amongst these 5 great mountains. And so we are considered to be in the very pico, or the very navel or spiritual center of these great, tall and large mountains, the tallest and largest mountains on earth. And so the design of the mountains that was created by Kumujan Kaimikawa some years ago, depict the mountains and what each mountain is special for. And then on the other side
I'm going to
of the
have you
shirt,
just hold this up. Can you do that?
you see the image of the honu, of the turtle, after a petroglyph design of a turtle, and you see also that on the outer edges of the turtle is the mountain image as well.
And it's a star compass actually on the perimeter of the turtles, of the honu shell, and you'll see the different cardinal points and directions: east, west, north, south, and some of the guiding stars of the night sky that we have depicted here, and our theme, Malama Honu, Malama Honua. Aiden, would you like to share anything with us about your experience?
Yeah, when about a week ago when we first did the turtle inspections, we just
Here,
helped.
Aiden, talk into this microphone, and maybe everybody can hear you. Here.
About a week ago when we did the turtle inspections, we we just we held the turtles' fins and the the directors they inspected the turtles' mouths and determined whether or not if they were healthy. And it was just a fun experience. Yeah. The day after that, we went and released the honus. We got to carry them on a stretcher, and yeah, like I said, it was a fun experience to have and to do.
And I'm sure a memorable one for you and all of the other children and people who were involved with the turtle release. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learned some things, especially with your interest in marine biology, learning more about the honu, yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you so much, Aiden, and for being a great model and for sharing your experience with the turtle independence program.
Thank you so much, Aiden.
Hello, Aiden. All right. So it was a fun 4th of July.
It was, it was.
So we have 6 honu out there, turtles, who have been freed and swimming out into the open seas, and we
I know, we
wish
were.
them the best.
We do, and so now the kahu of the honu have a little break until we receive new
The keepers
hatchlings.
of the honu.
Yes, they've. We found out that these turtles actually that have been laying eggs, that Mauna Lani has been fostering for over 33 years now.
And they come from the Sea Life Park.
That come from Sea Life Park. These turtles are 60 years old, and so, you know, we aren't able to raise any other turtles hatchlings except those that were born into captivity, and so we're very dependent on whether or not these turtles are going to be laying eggs, and they have.
And we're so grateful to the Sea Life Park for
Yes.
providing these honu over these many, many years.
Yes, Michelle Benedict was here representing the Sea Life Park this year, and she did a wonderful presentation as well.
Yeah.
But I see
So,
you have
you
your
know,
guitar.
yeah, you know, we usually open up with more of a memorial in memory of loved ones who have been part of this very special program and our Twilight at Kalahuipua programs all these years. And we just very, very recently lost a dear friend who worked here at Mauna Lani Resort many years ago. She was a communications person. She was also my scribe, and very, very good with
Very articulate
very
in
articulate.
her writing, very
And actually
talented.
wrote a book as well, and many articles. Uh, but her name was Leilani Hino, and you know, over the many years that we've had our monthly Twilight at Kalahuipua program, which was always set on the Saturdays closest to the full moon, right in the front, just off to the south side, would be Leilani
And her
and
sister
and her sister
Jan.
Jan
And
and
her
her
mom,
Yeah.
Auntie Itsu.
Yes, and they'd always come, and they live pretty far away in
Yes.
Ahuloa, but they would always come down and sit down and enjoy the program. And the sushis that they cone sushis that they brought were
Oh.
so
And the
were so good.
musubi,
And
the homemade
musubis.
musubi. Oh.
But Auntie Itsu lived all the way to 101,
Yes.
and her mind was sharp. And so we just recently lost her daughter Leilani Hino, and we send our aloha,
To the family, to the
our prayers, and
ohana.
our condolences to the family.
Yes. And also within your own family, your cousin
Yes.
Robin and Rosemary's son, Matthew
Maddie,
David Liu,
yes,
that unfortunately tragically passed in an accident on the mainland.
Yeah.
His work
So
as an engineer for a reservoir project. Yeah.
in the sadness of these passings, we always say when someone leaves, someone comes. And so we also can celebrate a new life of a new niece, our niece,
Erin, yeah, Matson.
just gave birth to a baby girl.
Yes, Emilia
And so for
Pohake.
those who know Erin, our niece, she just had a baby.
Yeah,
and,
so as we celebrated Maddie's celebration of life on the same day in the morning,
we
our
also
niece,
celebrated-
Erin Matson, gave birth to a little baby girl, Emilia Pohake Okahikina Matson. So
Yes.
we celebrate that. We celebrate the passing of one life, so we celebrate the coming of a new. We have a mailele here, which is very symbolic of that piko, that umbilical cord, that spiritual connection between us that are still here and those that have passed on.
And
as
so we
they've-
would like to offer a chant in Oli that was again composed by Kumujan Kaimikawa some years ago for a loved one who has passed. An Oli called Kalehala Ilehua Moi, and this is in honor of Leilani,
and Maddie.
of Maddie, and of all those who have recently passed as well.
Lele i te ua ki pu'u no wai mea. Lu'u ta ua mai ne loko. Hele hiwa hiwa, hele i aloha i hala.
He
maule no Hawaii lana i ka ilikai. Holo i tapi holo ana ka la i le hua moe.
Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. And so this mailele of which we hold, this fragrant mailele, will be our symbol, our spiritual connection, as it represents the piko, the umbilical cord, that connects and links us spiritually with our loved ones wherever they may be. And so our aloha goes out to all of them.
And one thing that I always think of when I see the maile in times like this, it reminds me of something that Kumujan Kaimikawa mentioned about the scent of the maile. He says, wherever you may be, whether it be in Hawaii or anywhere in the world, when you smell the scent of the maile, you know that a loved one is near. For the scent of the maile is a scent of our kupuna, our ancients, our ancestors.
And it doesn't have to be in Hawaii. Wherever you are, and if you ever smell the maile, you will know that a loved one is close at hand.
You know, can I share something that was shared with me yesterday at Maddie's celebration of life? A family member mentioned, says, when we shared that symbolism of the mailele being that piko, she said, you know, when my mom passed, I would be awakened in the night, shaking of the bed. It's kind of the way of mom saying, I'm here. And my dad, when he passed, even more so, it happened more frequently. But she said, you know, recently, I was awakened similarly at 2 a.m. in the morning, but what was so prevalent was a very familiar scent that I could not identify at that moment in time. And I got up, I went to each of the rooms in my home, and the scent was not there. It was only there around my bed, in my bedroom, that I could smell that scent. And today, as you passed the maileles for us to put our aloha into for Maddie into this lei, and I smelt the scent of the maile, I realized it was the scent of the maile that had awakened me just recently, and I knew Mom and Dad were nearby.
Well, you know, there's a song that I think would be so appropriate for this occasion and in celebration for the life of our loved ones or dear friends who have just passed. And it's a song that speaks of the very rare hulu mamo, or the feather of the mamo bird. So the mamo bird is which is a bird that was only found in the Hawaiian Islands, a bird that is endemic to Hawaii, was a bird that was sought after for its beautiful golden feathers, and it only had a few right under
Yes,
the
because it was
wing.
primarily black in color,
Yes.
and it only had these few golden underwing feathers that were sought after. And you know what's amazing to me is Hawaii is amazing conservationists, and when they gathered the feathers, they only selected the feathers as the bird was molting. That's the only time they gathered them. So it took a very long time to gather enough feathers. But with this particular song written by Helen D. Shea Beamer, it speaks so amazingly of this bird and compares this bird actually to a royal member of the royalty, Princess Elizabeth Kahanu,
Was
the widow.
the widow of Prince Kuhio Kalanianaole.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that Elizabeth Kahanu was once an owner of this property of Kalahui Pua'a.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and eventually sold this property in 1932 to Uncle Francis E. Brown. So, we'd like to do this song, and Anna, you can help me with kahea and calling out the verses. It's been a while since I've done this, but it's a beautiful song with a haunting melody, and one of Leilani's favorite songs.
21112.
Okay. I'll just follow your kahea.
Okay.
Okay. All right. 2112.
Well,
I think it'll be 111.
fine. That'll be fine.
Okay. Otherwise, we'll be here all afternoon.
We're good. Okay. Ko'i'i.
Oi, kalehua, ike anu, ki pupu, aowai mea.
Hano hano.
Hano hano, ia hale, o ka manu, ulu he, ao mea Lani.
Ahe manu.
ahemanu ikulia ikanu ka ohai akekia manu
Velolua.
velolua e kahulu nani kalai ike ani mahali a ka moa e
Ho'oipo.
ho'oipo e ke oho o ka lehua a ohe lua ke ike aku
Puana.
Puana ke ali'i puru mamo ka lani poe e ho mai
Puana po.
Puana ke ali'i puru mamo ka lani poe e ho mai e ho mai Beautiful song. Mahalo.
For a beautiful woman, Leilani Hino.
Ke li'i hulu mama. What a haunting song that is.
Helen Deshay Beamer wrote amazingly beautiful compositions. Her prose and poetry were just phenomenal. And the melodies matched
Yes.
comparably.
You know, she
Yeah.
wrote many, many songs, and we mentioned about this property being sold in 1932 to Uncle Francis E. Brown. And, you know, there's, you know, when Helen Beamer would visit friends, as a gift, she would at times compose a song and perform it to them and give it to them as a gift. And this song, this next song, talks about a place just south of this area of Kalahuipua, and it's actually in North Kona, a place called Kiawaiki, which is still part of the Brown Ohana, the Brown family. And so Helen Deshay Beamer wrote this song called Kiawaiki. And
It's a great song because it really honors Francis E. Brown and his generous hospitality, and how he would invite friends to come and visit one of his favorite spots, homes. It was very simply laid out with beautiful lava stone and coral cottages there, and they had this most pristine, they do still have an amazingly pristine pond, freshwater pond amongst the anchialine ponds there. But it's extremely refreshing.
oh yeah, it's pretty almost ice cold when you jump in
It
there.
is,
But
it
boy,
is.
when you come out, it's
Yes,
very refreshing, as you said.
yes. But Uncle Francis, as I said, he was known for his hospitality, and understand that along with that, with not just food, but also drink and his favorite beverages, the Old Rarity.
Oh yes,
Yes.
which is you know, a drink that's very rare, old rarity, not easy to come by. Yeah, and you know, this song was recorded many years ago by the grandson of Helen Beamer, and his name was Mahi Beamer, who we called Uncle Mahi.
Yeah.
Beautiful falsetto voice, and you know, on the recording they had ili stones, which are like Hawaiian castanets, and And I actually have those ili ili
You
stones
do from
in my
Kiawiki?
bag. If
Well,
you
let me go get
grab
them.
the in the ukulele case, in the small pocket, you should find those ili ili stones, which we picked up from the beach of Kiawaiki. And so I think if Anna can find those ili ili stones, which are from Kiawaiki, then
Yes.
she'll use them for this song. Yeah. It's been a while since we've done this one too,
Yes, it has.
so I will do it nice and easy, not
Thank
too
you.
fast.
I appreciate that.
Okay. You want cocoa?
I.
Okay, here we go.
Ayala.
Eila, he kono loa amai kia waiki, e kipa e nanea, e ho o lahu kanaka, e paina ai ho i me e kini, ke ki aloha Hawaii, e puna hele ho i o e na mako. He nani a he olu olu I ohono I a home I kai I laila oe e o lahai Hei ki aloha Hawaii He puna hele hoi oe nā mako Eia, eila He kono roa mai kia waiki E kipa e nanea a e ho lahu kanaka E paina ai ho I me ai kini Ke ki aloha Hawaii He puna hele ho I o e nā mako He puna hele ho I o e nā mako He puna hele He puna hele ho I o e nā mako A song called Kiawaiki of which we dedicate to the brown ohana.
Yes, and they were able to release the honu this 4th of July.
Yes.
Suzanne and Alan Brown.
Suzanne Brown.
And Vanaoa.
Vano'oa
Vanaoa.
was the name, who was actually the
Great
great grand or mother of Frances
Frances
E.
E.
Brown,
Brown.
or great grandmother of Frances E. Brown, and so apparently, from my understanding, it was the mother of
John Papa
John
E.
Papa E.
E.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, Vano'oa.
It was very unusual. That's a very unusual name, Vanaoa, which means to stretch out, like the spines of an urchin, a sea urchin,
Like the Vana.
like a vana. And it was in reference to her status, her royal status, where she was of such high stature that people were kept at a distance from her. They could not approach close to her. And so that name, Vanaoa.
Vano'oa.
Vanoa.
Vano'oa.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was one of that was the name given to the turtle as we released it, because we don't really name our turtles. They do have numbers, but they don't have names until we let them go, and that's in a sense giving them new birth as turtles as in the wild would dig themselves out of their nest, their sandy nest, and make their way down to the ocean to be in the ocean the rest of their lives. And so So we actually bestow the Hawaiian names as we let them go.
Much like when you bestow a name upon a child when it's born, as they're birthed into the ocean.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we don't always get these kind of times to, we normally have a guest, but today we actually have this opportunity to just share things that we might not usually get to share or to talk about when we have a guest here, because we want to make sure that that Huakipa, that guest is who is here, will have that opportunity to share their story, and so now we're sharing our stories as well. You know, I grew up in Honolulu, part of the Akaka Ohana, the Akaka family, and very proud to be part of such a great family. Um, my father was retired U.S. Senator Daniel Kahikina Akaka Sr. And I proudly carry that name, and we have one of our twin sons who carries that name, Daniel Kahikina.
Yes, and your mom,
The second.
Mary Mildred, actually, everyone knows
Yes.
her as Auntie Millie.
Yes.
And she just turned 96 on the 28th
Mom.
of June.
She always looks forward to having that
Daniel
son.
Kahikina the fourth
Yes.
visit, and they spend time, and she babysits him once a week. On
So actually, our son, who we call Kahikina, is the third, and his son is Daniel Kahikina
the fourth,
the fourth. Yes.
or as the uncles
Mom
tease him,
always looks forward to watching
Baby
over.
Fort.
And my sister Lani and her daughter Erin, who just gave birth recently.
And your brother-in-law Kavika.
My
So
brother-in-law.
it's
Kavika.
funny. Families are such a important part of the fabric of Hawaii, and our families are no different. Mom at age 94, 95 turned to our son, who at the time had just his son, who's now 4.5 years old. She said, maybe the other grandparents would like a little bit of a break from babysitting. Says, you can bring them over to our house for us to watch, because we love babies too, And so began their babysitting. So that was about, 4 years ago? At the age of 92, and now she's 96 and still babysitting and loving every moment, misses them when they're not there. But from my side of the family, I was actually born in Hilo. And our family moved to Oahu. My dad is Benedict Louis Kwan. His mother was Mary Kapahua from Honolulu, where our family owned the lands of Honolulu and Pauka'a. There were also the lighthouse keepers there at Pauka'a Point. My mother, Valentina Lang, it was a very interesting genetic background. Her mother was from Russia, actually north of Kiev, the Ukraine, but not from the Ukraine. She said she was white Russian. I don't know what that means, but my understanding is it might have been Belarus, actually. And her father was a physician from China. And during the days when they had Chinese laborers that came to work on the plantations, the sugar plantations, they had a physician that would always accompany the group of contract laborers to ensure that they were in good health as they traveled here, and tasked with taking care of them when they were here to make sure that they were in good health as they were working out their contract. And although they had an opportunity to return, my grandfather never did, thankfully. And so he remained in Hilo, caring for the health of those there, and married my grandmother, Anastasia San Martin. And he was Lang Kit. So from that came my mom. And as Dan said, we're very blessed to have such wonderful families. I have 10 siblings, actually, 7 brothers. Benedict, Ivan, Gregory, Timothy, James, Randy, and Alexander Peter. and then two sisters, Valerie and Nicola. As you can see here, a lot of Russian, strong
So
Russian
Anna
names.
comes from a family of 10. I come from a family of 5. So I'm the second one. My sister Lani is the eldest, about 5 years apart. And then I follow. So I carry the Daniel Jr. name. Then my brother Gerard, or I should say Dr. Gerard at Queen's Hospital. Then brother Alan, who teaches music, Hawaiian music mainly, and almost all the instruments you normally hear in Hawaiian music, from the steel guitar to the ukulele to the bass, and probably other instruments
Yes.
as well. And then our youngest brother, Nicky,
Yep.
yeah, who is a retired policeman.
Yes.
So we come from a family of 5, and but you know, I recall some years back, and it was on the 4th of July when we when we did a turtle release in the morning, and my parents would usually come, and my dad would do a speech before
The release of the turtle.
before the release of the turtles as a representative of the U.S. Senate and his support for that program. And on that particular day, because it fell not only on a Saturday, but on the Saturday that we would normally have our Twilight at Kalahuipua program, so it was a full moon night on
Yes.
top of that. But there was another thing that we had that same day. Our canoe that was made here at the canoe landing, which is just out this way, which is named Laulima and was made under
the direction,
of
master canoe carver.
Ski Koikowski, who was a master wood carver and canoe maker.
And assisted by Mel Hewitt much of the time.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was a 2-year project. They completed the canoe, and it was ready to be blessed and launched. So that morning of 4th of July, we did the Honu release. We released green sea turtles, followed by the blessing of the Laulima canoe on our Keiki Beach at high noon at 12, and then followed by Twilight at Kalahuipua, which was 5:30 in the evening, right here on the porch, the lanai of the Eva Parker Woods Cottage. And since my mom and dad were here, and since they were going to be our guests here on that Twilight program, our whole family came. My sister Melanie, my brothers Gerard, Alan, and Nikki came. So it was one of the very rare opportunities which we have had our entire family here
on the
with
porch,
mom and dad, and just sharing stories, songs, and hula. One of the songs that we did was a song that was a favorite of my grandmother, whom we never met, and which my dad, which we called Tutuma.
Yes.
And she was of pure Hawaiian descent, and from my understanding spoke mostly in the Hawaiian language, and wrote beautifully and very poetically in Hawaiian,
Yes,
in Hawaiian language.
Tutuma Anna Akaka.
Yes. And so she had a favorite song that it's called Kamakani Ka'ili Aloha. And it talks about the love-snatching winds, and it really is a song that was written by Matthew Kane, who composed the song after a Mo'olelo story. And the story takes place on the island of Maui, and of where this woman who was married had left Maui, left her husband and family, and went to Oahu. And of course, her husband dearly missed her and got the help of a specialist, a type of Hawaiian priest or kahuna, to help bring his sweetheart back home to him. And so the kahuna did his love magic and put his prayers into an ipu, into a gourd, which he let float on the ocean, and that gourd floated to Waikiki. And because of the, the magic spell and the prayers that this kahuna did, um, the sweetheart of this man was happened to be at Waikiki, and she saw this gourd floating, and when she opened it, it was really that love potion in that prayer that was placed into that gourd that brought her back home. And so the song Kamakani Kaili Aloha, Tutuma's favorite song. Aloha, Aiana, no Kamakani Kaulana o Kaina Au e ho he no nei Kamakani kaili aloha kupua kulei kumili mili e kulei kawi Ahe mili mili oe Ahe hiva hiva na'u Ahe lei Mauna Ku'ukino Aloha Ia no Ia home Ia home Lua kaha a ka malihini A'u e noho ai aku pa kamakani kaili aloha kupua kulei kumili mili e kulei kawi kawe kihu ahe mili mili oe ahe hiva hiva na'u ahe lei mauno kukino ahe lei mauno kukino Aloha tutuma. Thank you.
That
It was
was
a beautiful
lovely.
song and a beautiful hula.
Thank you.
Well, you know, the time has just quickly gone by. And, you know, it's rare that you and I kind of get to do this, especially here at Talk Story.
Yes. Get to do the songs that we
Yeah.
love.
So it was a rare treat for us to be here and to be with all of you out there. And hopefully you got to enjoy this little talk story with us, and maybe with a good beverage in hand, your favorite beverage,
And poo-poos.
and poo-poos, hors d'oeuvres, of course. You know, with talk story and music and hula goes wonderful beverages, wonderful drinks, whatever it might be, and
the opportunity to gather with
and
loved ones,
poo-poos, and yes, and
friends and
getting
family.
together with friends and family. So you know, as we say aloha, you know, there was a song that our Uncle Kwai, or Uncle Abraham Akaka, who was a well-known spiritual leader of Hawaii, and you know, he was at a number of different churches that he served at, from Kauai to Maui to Haile Church in Hilo, and then finally the Kawaiahao Church. Where at the Kawaiahao Church in 1959, at the statehood address when Hawaii became the 50th state, he bestowed the name upon this state, the Aloha State.
Yes. And that address from the pulpit as the legislature convened at Iolani Palace and strolled over to Kawaiahao Church for that service. From the pulpit, he said, Hawaii, the 50th state. Hawaii, the Aloha State.
Yeah, and so, you know, Uncle would always talk about that word aloha. And aloha being a word of welcome, a word of farewell, a word of love, also has a much deeper, more profound meaning of sharing one's ha as we come into each other's alo, each other's presence,
Divine presence.
each other's divine presence. And so as we come into each other's alo and we share that breath which contains our spirit and life force, as we touch nose to nose and breathe in and out in that exchange of our ha with each other, gives us that word aloha. To be in one's divine presence, to share the ha, the breath.
Our spirit. And
Yes.
as Dad would always say, aloha is Hawaii's gift to the world. Truly, it is.
And so this song that Uncle Abraham used to sing when he was in Chile camp,
In Colorado.
as I believe a counselor in Colorado, he would sing this song, and I believe to this day they still sing this song at Chile camp. And it's called Aloha Means. So we would like to close our little talk story segment with all of you with this song, Aloha Means. Aloha means we welcome you. It means more than words can say. Aloha means good luck to you. Good night at the close of day. It's just like a love song with a haunting deep refrain, bringing you joy, bringing you pain. until we meet again. It's just like a love song with a haunting, sweet refrain, bringing you joy, bringing you pain. Aloha means farewell to you until we meet again. Until we meet again.
Aloha.
And before we say our aloha to you all, and as we say ahui ho until we meet again, we really like to send our mahalo nui out to Mauna Lani Auberge, who supports us, to Sanjiv, our wonderful general manager, and all of our extraordinary staff and management and our
Yes.
employees that help us to continue this wonderful Talk Story program, and eventually our Twilight program when we can bring it back again, Twilight at Kalahuipua'a. Also, Friends of the Future, Susan Maddox, and
Yes.
the board of that wonderful nonprofit organization that was created here, right at the Eva Parker Woods Cottage, Friends of the Future, who has supported us for the many, many years.
And
And of
also
course,
our
everyone here.
kokua, our
All of
kako'o,
our-
our supporters who are behind the camera videotaping Ali Weeks, and behind our sound system, Keone Weeks and Susan Williams. And we're missing a couple of others that are usually here, like PE, Laeha, to help
Yes.
with all of the setup, and Sophie and Bob, and
Reno's and Amber.
Amber,
Yes.
and
You know, so many wonderful people who have helped us over the many years. So
yes.
we just want to say mahalo to all of them, and to those in our Twilight guests and our Talk Story guests in the past who have blessed us all these years. It'll be 25 years in September that we've been
Wow.
doing that program. So, wow, it's been a nice, wonderful stretch. So we want to say mahalo nui loa, aloha to you all out there, and join us again next month, August next month, for our next
Talk
Talk
Story
Story program.
here at the Eva Parker Woods Cottage at Kalahuipua'a at the Mauna Lani Resort. Mahalo ahui ho, ke
And
akua
as
pu.
Tutupa would always say as we left,
Malama ke kino.
Take care of yourself.
Aloha.
Aloha.